A lot of people want to start businesses nowadays, and a lot of people are not sure which business to start with. I started a development company 3 years ago, and I made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot of lessons. And so I wanted to share my 2 cents as somebody who's been starting out, on what makes for a good business to start with, whether that's a service or a product. If it's a service, what kind of service, like how to start. And I'll get straight to the point. In my opinion, services over products, just because you can get started for free. With products, you have two options, which is either you must drop ship and sell something that is not yours, right? So you don't really own the product and you don't have control over like how good it is, things like that. And you're drop shipping. The drop shipping game is a lot about like chasing the next product and things like that. Like I have some friends who did it, and that's a lot of the process, right? Where you're constantly looking for the next thing because you basically have a trend. You like put a bunch of money into ads, and then it sells out, and then you hop onto the next trend. And the other issue is you need ad money for that. So that's why I didn't do that business. I actually, I was kind of curious about it, but I didn't want to spend on ads. I didn't really have capital to start out with. And services you can fulfill yourself, so it's 100% margin. Now, within services, okay, what do you sell? What do I do? It really comes down to who do you know? So who can you distribute to? What I mean by that is like, there's no better or worse services model. And I catch myself in this, and I think a lot of beginners do as well, where they see a big service business and they say, oh, I'm going to do that because that seems amazing. And then they see another big services, they get into that kind of struggle. Okay, I'm going to do that because that business model is clearly better. The reality is there's no business model that's better than others. There are billion-dollar companies that do everything that you can think of. So if you want to do a dental practice, there's for sure like companies that do like small medical practices, some huge fund that owns a bunch of them, does billions of dollars. If you want to do, let's say, like a cleaning business, there's surely a company that does billions of dollars. If you want to do development, for example, there's a billion-dollar company. There's a billion-dollar creative agency. There's a billion-dollar marketing agency. There's billion-dollar businesses everywhere. And so for you to cut out a multi-million-dollar business within a billion-dollar market, like it's not that hard. So it's not fundamentally about which service or whatever, which industry you're in. It's more so about who do you know that you can sell to quickly. So what I mean by that is like the make or break of your business will be how quickly can you get it off the ground, how quickly can you sell to people and make it profitable. Once you grease the wheels, once you have some money coming in, once you have like, a couple tens of thousands, you've got some money to work with, you've got some cash to work with, you can make things work. And the main thing that's going to stop you from getting there is basically customers, right? Customer acquisition, lead generation, all that stuff. Now, you will have to do lead generation, but if you want to make your life any easier, think about who you already know and try and figure out what their problems are. And if you know absolutely nobody, then you should think about what are you good at, so make sure you do a really good service, and then figure out like a market that you can easily contact and help with the thing that you are good at. But it's all about find a market that has money, is easy to contact. Like these two, I think, are the number one kind of traits between the two of them in starting out a services business. That's my little 5-minute take on things, just from having started a business, having actually tried several, having seen other people try and build theirs. Yeah, like the SaaS game is a completely different story. Like building a tech product is something else entirely. I have a whole rant on this. But if you build a tech product, you essentially have to do a bunch of marketing, and people underestimate how hard that marketing is, because there's usually a lot of existing competitors. So like to build something totally new is very, very rare, and you need to spend a lot of money on essentially ads. Essentially it's the same, like you have to spend a bunch of time building the product, and then you have to spend money on ads or figure out some form of distribution. The thing that people do not realize a lot in software products is like, if you sell something that's a low ticket product, you need to sell insanely high volume. You generally only get insanely high volume if you have like a huge distribution channel. So like, let's say you have, I don't know, 100,000 followers on a given platform. That's a distribution channel you can use. And then, you don't have to worry about selling to a bunch of customers. And the other thing is like ads and stuff like that. That's what dropshippers do, right? Dropshippers make, $5 to $10 per sale on most products or whatever. Let's say you make $5 a pop and you sell like, You sell 100 units, 100 customers, 100 people at a house party is a lot of people. Imagine you have 100 customers, you made $500 that month of like take home. $500 is not a lot of money to sustain yourself on. So you have to sell a huge amount of people. You have to sell a huge amount, a huge volume. And so in order to reach that volume, dropshipping is an ads game. If you do a tech product, you essentially have to play that same ads game, because you probably make, let's say you sell $10 a month subscription, or $15, like $10 a month. You sell, let's say you sell 100 customers, you got $1,000 a month, and that's great. But then you also have to handle churn and all that. But you have to basically run ads, and running ads has a learning curve too, right? Like, it's not fair to expect that you were born knowing how to run ads. And so if you lack that skill set, you will suck at it when you start. That's why I generally think like services is way better to start with. That is why tech products often get so much startup capital, like VC funding and stuff, because you need that money to essentially burn on ads and figure out like what's most profitable and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go totally into like getting funding and investment, but stepping into the VC world, it comes with a lot of drawbacks as well. Like, I've spoken to a series of people, and it can obviously get you the funding that you need, but at the same time, it gives you people that you have to answer to. And that's a whole other rant for another day. But anyway, that's my kind of little 2 cents on things. I think services are great to start with because it's 100% margin, zero cost, zero baseline cost, and you can service it yourself. And it just comes down to like your distribution. So I think they make for a great business to start. But yeah, and if you want to figure out how to start one, I will make a video on that as well. Just comment down below.